Another week down, guys. We are getting closer to the year 2025, which I don't know if you guys are familiar, but that's 25 years past 2000. That's, I thought I would say 2025, and I was like, I'll come up with something funny and a lie, but like interesting or a misdirect, and I couldn't think of anything, so I just gave you guys some basic math there about, 2000 plus 25. Whatever. I am happy to be here. It's another week down, another hot one. I just cut my own hair, which has been good. Just cut my own hair. I got a cat staring at me here. What do you want, Blade? He's been licking himself all morning. He gives himself baths like he's the dirtiest animal alive. Cat baths. I don't know why they do it. I'll have to look it up. They just there he is. He's made an appearance. First cameo on the pod. Blade, sit. He's already sitting. Cats aren't like dogs. I don't think you can train a cat that well. I don't know. You probably can. I'm sure you can. I know you can. I've seen people, but they don't train the same. I try to get this guy to do certain things, and he kind of lives his own life, his own rules, which I respect in a way, but I get super frustrated in the other sense. And is he about to do it? All right. He settled in. That's a good boy. Sometimes he'll go ham on the couch and scratch it up, and that's not good. But anyways, I just cut my hair yesterday. If you're watching the pod, then you might be able to see it. I don't know with these headphones on what it looks like exactly, but I think I talked about it recently. I bought a pair of clippers, like a pretty nice pair, a month ago maybe. And I had Dailey, she cut it the first time. She did like we watched some videos on how to do fades. So she like used a bunch of different clippers and tried to like fade it from shorter to a little bit longer to like taper into the longer hair up top. And I mean, it's kind of a complicated process, but she did a good job. I think it looked fine for doing like a homemade haircut. But this time I wanted to try it myself. It's one of those weird things. It's like satisfying to cut hair. So I wanted to try it myself. But not a great idea. I guess, to put it simply, not the best idea. It doesn't look great. It's one of those where like I just cut it one length short on the sides and back and just left the hair on top. And when you go, I think I did a one guard all the way up. So it's like a one guard and then it's just long hair. So it goes from very short to very long, and blending that, that requires a skill set that I do not have, nor did I really try. And on first glance, it's funny. You look at it and you're like, oh, that's not bad. And then if you just take a second look, especially on the back, you're like, yeah, you missed a lot of spots. You missed a lot of spots, and you took a little too much off in certain spots. But that's pretty much what a home haircut is. When you have your own clipper set, it's kind of like you're probably going to mess up, but the nice part about cutting your own hair, you're like, if all else fails, I'll just buzz it all off. Okay? It won't be great, but at least it'll be uniform, It'll look symmetrical, hopefully. Unless my head is crooked now underneath the 1 inch of hair that I currently have on the top of my head. But, I'm trying to write jokes about that right now, just cutting my own hair. Because, look, I've talked about it ad nauseum. I've talked about it quite a bit, too much. You guys probably don't care, but I've tried the different haircuts. Okay, first off, I'm a frugal guy. I don't like spending a lot of money. So for all you haters out there going, you should spend $75 every 6 weeks, never going to happen. Never going to happen. How dare you even try to get me to do that? That's crazy. That's insane. You add that up. I'm not going to do math twice in the first 5 minutes on this podcast, but 75 times whatever that is in a year, that's too much money. So for the longest time, I would go to Great Clips, okay? And Great Clips, I'm trying to write, like I said, a joke on this, but basically, Great Clips, they're so bad at cutting hair there that people already thought that I was cutting my own hair. So it's like, well, you know what? If I'm paying money for somebody to do it and people are already like, that's really bad. Did you do that yourself? Then it's like, well, why don't I just save the money and do it myself for real? And I know people will say, they go, all right, well, Great Clips is the bottom of the barrel, which, you know what? You're not wrong. But let me give you a little history lesson on where I've come from with haircuts and what my expectations are and this and that. First off, I've never gotten a haircut in my entire life where I'm like, I look good. It's always just my hair's getting too long and crazy, and it just needs to be shorter, and it's probably going to look kind of bad for a little bit. That's just like my mindset from all the haircuts I've gotten. It's just like not great. And I used to go to a hair salon when I was in like high school. I didn't know what to get. So I think it took me the longest time. It took me until adulthood to even kind of understand, like, yeah, shorter on the sides and back, longer on top, just a basic haircut. But when I was living in, because in college I also like bought some clippers and I would cut my own hair during that time frame as well. But when I moved to Northern Virginia in the year 2015, I would go to this place. I remember when I first moved there, 2015, I go to this place that it was a hair salon or whatever you call it. I mean, it was ladies cutting hair. Is a hair salon ladies and a barber men? I don't know. I'm not sure what the terminology. Anyway, it was a place that cuts hair. It wasn't a chain. It was like, here is a mom and pop hair cutting place. And I'm not kidding you. The haircuts, they were either $10 or $13. Okay? Year is 2015, 10 or 13, I can't remember. You throw a tip on top of that, you're talking under $20 for a haircut. Now, Great Clips, which is the bottom of the barrel, that's like 20 or 25 plus tip. And you know, people, I'm sure you're listening, you're going, $30 with tip? That's nothing. Okay, fine. You want to spend all your money on haircuts? You live your life, okay? To each their own. But those haircuts stunk. So for a little bit, earlier this year, I went twice to a place called Floyd's. I was like, let's try out Floyd's. I don't know if it's a national place, but it's a chain within Denver, the Denver area at the very least. And Floyd's haircut, I think, is about $35 or $40 before tip. The first haircut I got, the lady cutting my hair did a great job. Like, literally, I don't think that I would have bought clippers if the lady I got first was the lady I got every time. Which, again, you're probably listening going, hey, Ben, that's what making appointments is for. You can get that same lady. And you're right. But that's not how I approach haircuts. First off, I don't know if I got her card or if I remember her name. I don't remember her name. I don't know if I got her card. Or if I could call in and be like, hey, who cut my hair the first time? Which I probably could. But I don't operate that. I get haircuts like I do laundry. Okay? When it's an emergency. Okay? I don't plan stuff ahead. I just one day go, whoa, this has got to go. Like right now. And that's how I operate. And having your own clippers is good and bad for that very reason, depending on how you look at it. You can cut it right away, but also it's like maybe it's not a good thing that you opt to cut it right away sometimes. But did that, went to Floyd's, first time great, second time terrible. Okay, same price. Person didn't bring out all the tool kit to do the different things to make it like the complicated thing. First off, okay. Let me take a step back. I'm rambling all over the place here. You can tell. I could tell a difference. Great clips. They would literally just do like clippers, real basic around the side, and then just the top hair. I'm not kidding. I've gotten haircuts there that were 2.5 minutes. Like, I'm not, start to finish, they're like, bzz, blah, 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 here you go, $25. Did you guys like that sound effect? Bzz, blah, blah, blah. That was my blah, blah, blah. That's what the scissors on the hair sounds like. Bzz is for the clippers, just to give you context. But this lady who cut my hair at Floyd's the first time, she just had so many tools. She was bringing out tools or whatever you call them, the different types of scissors and the what do you call? There's like a layering scissor, but then a bunch of other. She was bringing out a bunch of stuff. She took the time. It probably took 20, 25 minutes. Like, she took her time, and it looked good, and it felt good. But the second person did not do that, and I lost all faith in all hairstylists and hair cutters. And actually, that's not even it. My hair starting to thin. I was like, I'm going to have to get used to short hair. I might as well just pull off the Band-Aid, just cut it all off, see what it looks like, get used to it. So I bought the clippers, cut it all off. Looked weird, but yeah, I'm kind of used to it now. But yeah, now I'm cutting it myself, and I'll probably have Dailey do it from now on, because yeah, it's hard to cut. I didn't use a mirror, which, some people, you see people cut their own hair and you have to use a mirror to see what's going on. I didn't. I just kind of like felt it out. And if you look behind my head right now, you're like, yeah, you did feel it out, and your feelings are pretty off. You did not. It's not symmetrical back there. And whatever. Okay? I don't care. I was talking to a comic last night at an open mic, and he was like, you don't want to spend a little money on yourself to look good? And I'm like, yeah, ding, ding, ding. That's the correct answer. I don't care. I mean, I should care more, and I will have Dailey do it probably next time to like make it better than what it is, but I just don't care. I don't know. It's a fault of mine, I'm sure. But that's where we're at with the haircut. That was longer. I talked longer about the haircut than I thought I would. What do you think, Blade? He's just sitting over there like a loaf of bread. Just like a statue. I mean, A Cat's Life. They made a movie called A Bug's Life, if you guys remember that. They should make A Cat's Life. And just 90 minutes of a cat sitting on a couch staring into the abyss. And then part 2 is a cat with the zoomies, just very active. And then everybody will be like, the sequel, much better movie. And then part 3 is a cat on, catnip, or I don't know, whatever they do. They do a lot of weird stuff, but they also just do a lot of nothing, quite a bit. Speaking of loaves, I've been making some banana bread recently, and let me tell you guys what. I got to cut it out, because I've said it before, I cannot control myself. Over the last 24 hours, I have eaten a loaf and a half of banana bread. And look, that's not good. That's too much. I'm putting butter on it and honey, and you're probably thinking, wow, Ben, that's crazy. Aren't you on this strict diet? And you know what? Yes, I am. And also, you know what? The banana bread fits within that strict diet. So what I'm saying is I'm eating banana bread that's not even good, and I can't stop eating it. Something's wrong with me. I don't know what it is. My brain, I get the carbs in my belly. The honey and butter is just like crack cocaine for me. And which never done that. Would never do that. That's bad stuff. That's the dirtiest. This is a clean podcast. I've never mentioned drugs. I'll edit that out. I won't. But banana bread is it's a gluten-free, sugar-free mixture. So first off, not very sweet. I'm fine with it, but it's not. If you guys tried it, you'd be like, this is disgusting. So gluten-free flour, no sugar, using like a coconut sugar substitute. It's like I bought some coconut sugar or whatever it's called and some date sugar. It's basically just like ground up coconut or ground up dates. So you get a little sweetness from the natural sugars there, but not actual sugar going in there. And then it's a little bit dry, cooked it a little long, and I forgot to put walnuts in. So it's missing ingredients. It's dry and it's not sweet, and I can't stop eating it. And boy, let me tell you what. If I were to tell this to a therapist, they'd probably be a little dumbfounded. If I'm being honest, they'd probably be a little thrown out. They'd be like, "What is wrong with you? That's behavior we've never heard about before." So, feeling a little, I mean, I'm not kidding. A loaf and a half. I'll probably have some more after this podcast. I got to stop. When there's carbs around, I can't stop. And it's bad because I'll just eat the carbs. And then you get full from that. And then I just don't eat anything of nutrition or like normal stuff. So like, all right, banana bread for breakfast. And then, well, I'll have a slice or two for pre-lunch. And then you eat that and you go, that was pretty good. Let me have about 4 more pieces. And then you're like, well, I don't even want lunch anymore. And then it's nighttime and you're like, I haven't had anything other than banana bread all day. This is crazy. What am I doing? But I digress. I feel like digress was said. Did you guys ever watch Boy Meets World? Disney show from like the 90s or early 2000s. I'm pretty sure there was a teacher on there called Mr. Feeney, I think. And would he always say, I digress? I don't know. Used to love that show. Leave a comment if you used to watch Boy Meets World. If you did, then you're probably around the same age as me, and we can chat about other shows that were popular during that time in the comments. Just tell me about your favorite show. Comment if you watch Boy Meets World, and also comment what your favorite show or shows were during your formative years from 8 to 16. Are those your formative years? I don't know. Whatever your favorite shows were when you were a kid. But no, it was a busy last week. I always say that every podcast. Busy last week. Went and saw the movie Trap with Dailey. And all right, I'm not going to give spoilers, but I am going to talk about it. So hopefully I don't give too much. I don't think I'll give too much information. First off, if you're not familiar, Trap, it's a new M. Night Shyamalan movie starring Josh Hartnett, which I haven't seen him in a movie in forever. I can't even think of the only movie I can remember him being in was 30 Days of Night. He kind of looks like a more handsome Ethan Hawke, I feel like. But he was in some movies like 15, 20 years ago and felt like he had like a little momentum going, and I haven't seen him since. But essentially, the movie is about, and this is all in the trailer. If you've seen the trailer, this is all in there, so I'm not giving anything away. But in the trailer, it's Josh Hartnett and his daughter. So dad and daughter going to this big pop stars concert at an arena, and while they're at the concert, there's a bunch of cops around, huge police presence, and Josh Hartnett, the main character, is like, he asks one of the people, is like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh, there's a serial killer here. And the trailer like heavily implies that Josh Hartnett actually is the serial killer, and it's kind of like following his, like, how's he going to get out of this situation? And look, I'm not going to give away the movie, but they should not have named it Trap. They should have named it Crap, okay? And this is a clean podcast, so I apologize to all the cleanies out there, but I said it, Crap, capital C. Was not a huge fan of it. Was not a fan of it. Let me say this. It was an intriguing movie, but if you're familiar, I think I went into it with too much of a mindset of assuming that it would be your typical M. Night Shyamalan movie, which I think a lot of people will watch and go, well, it was. But I just didn't. M. Night Shyamalan, if you're not familiar, he does a lot of twists. His movies are mostly like suspense movies that have a twist that you're not expecting at the end. He directed Signs with Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix. Great movie. Love that. He directed The Village, maybe. I don't know. He directed a bunch of movies, and I feel like, I don't know this for certain, but I think if you were to poll people, the general consensus is that he came out hot with good movies, and people were like, oh, this is a well-respected director. And I feel like he's just kind of like petered out in the last decade or two. And I think this was like a big comeback movie for him. I could be wrong, but it feels like they pushed it and there was like a big like return of M. Night Shyamalan. And come on, dude. It's one of those that was like, again, it all hinges on what is the twist. What's the twist? If the twist is good, it could be a good movie. Because you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is all a big setup for what happens. What's the twist? So it's one of those weird movies where you're like, I mean, I enjoyed it throughout, but then based on the ending, I was just like, it's just kind of a nothing burger for me. I was like, oh, dude, come on. So watched that. Didn't get any popcorn. It was the first time in a while I didn't get any popcorn, but we had just eaten right before going, and I decided not to get popcorn. Also, last time I got popcorn, I mean, this isn't me trying to make a joke. This is a hack thing to say. It's not, but it's obvious. But getting the kernels stuck in your gums and teeth for like 24 hours, like I flossed and would like pick it out, and then still like a day later, you're like, they're still in there. It's infuriating. But not a big fan of that movie. Another question for the pod listeners: if you have watched it, or if you're gonna watch it later or whatever point, come back, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I gave it a 5 out of 10, and I think that's fair. I've looked at a lot of reviews, and I feel like I'm not alone. So you guys tell me what you think on that. I've been watching a lot of the Olympics as well, not just movies. Okay, guys, I like to diversify my viewing stuff. And I know I talked about it last time, but last time it was mostly the swimming stuff. Now the swimming is over, I think, and it is on to the track and field, which is those are kind of the two sports that I'm very interested in. Golfing, Scotty Scheffler won. I didn't watch a ton of it. I watched the very end of it. He made a big comeback. It was cool to see him win. You know, he's having a great year this year. I'll keep it to that. That's, you know, I like to listen to people. The people have spoken. They said we don't like talking about golf. You know, a friend of the pod, Ethan Everhart, he reads this. I mean, trying to keep it clean and not mean, but this horrible little thing that he wrote. It's like a movie script that he wrote in like kindergarten or whatever. I think it's high school, but you know, when you listen to it, you're like, I don't know. This is definitely the writing competency of a kindergartner. And you know, all his fans, they go, "Hey, this is bad. Don't read that on the podcast." Everybody tunes out, and he keeps doing it. I'm not that guy, okay? You guys don't want to hear about golf? No problem. Moving on to track and field, the sport that everybody loves to hear about. But yeah, been following the track and field, which has been good. Real quick on the swimming. I don't know if you guys are into the swimming, but Caleb Dressel, he was like a big American name, and he won a bunch of Olympic medals last time in Tokyo, and he was kind of seen as like the next Michael Phelps. This time, though, he took a year or two off of competition in between last Olympics and this Olympics because of like mental health reasons, and he came back and he qualified. He got into the Olympics for the 50 free and the 100 fly, and he was kind of like a favorite for both of those, or a top contender. 50 free, he made it to the finals, but he didn't medal. He got like 5th or 6th. And then 100 fly, he didn't even make it to the finals. So that was kind of disappointing, kind of surprising. But he seems to be happy. And I don't know, longevity when it comes to being at the top of your game it's tough to come by. So good for him. He tried his best. A for effort. But track and field's going on now. Couple races that are interesting to me. I think the 100-meter and 200-meter interesting. Noah Lyles just won gold for the 100 meters, which was fun to see. It was like one of the closest races maybe in the history of the event. Like it went down to the thousandths of a second rather than tenths. Like he went 9.79. Second place also went 9.79. So they had to go to the thousandths of a second, and he won by like 5 thousandths. So pretty crazy there. Interested to see, I think tomorrow, which will be the day before this comes out, will be the finals of the 1500. I've been following that over the last couple of years with this phenom called Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Norwegian guy. But also, I think all 3 Americans made the final as well. So it'll be exciting to watch that. And then, some of the weird stuff, long jump, high jump, pole vault. You just get to see a shot put. I don't know. Most of them are going to be over at this point. But interesting to see some of that, the primal stuff where you just go back to like, who's really fast? I like watching people that are really fast. I can't run that fast, but they can run that fast. I'm going to watch. It is funny how like 0 people listening to this. Hardly anybody in the country is like, you know what? I'm going to go to a track meet and watch people run the mile. Nobody ever is doing that. Obviously, like for the most part, nobody's saying that. But when the Olympics are on, you're like, dude, let me see some people run a couple laps. You know what I like to see? 3 minutes and 28 seconds of people running laps. I want to see it. I want to see people really, just make me feel like an inferior human being. That's what the Olympics is all about. Making your general citizen of the United States and of the world feel incapable of everything. But that's fun. I feel pretty sore today, I'll be honest with you guys. Got up early this morning, went for a run, which is maybe the first time this summer, honestly, on a work day. Went for 5 miles. Got up at about 6 o'clock this morning. Felt, it was nice to get it through and done with, but felt pretty terrible. Just very sore and tired. Because I played volleyball yesterday, that volleyball league. And the little kid in me comes out. I'm diving all around the sand. I'm scraping my knee. I'm bleeding. I'm like, just going a little hard maybe. And then my body's sore, and I'm like, let me go for a run. And, oh, man, I had to really dig deep to get through it. I was going to try to go for 6 miles, but opted for 5. I was happy with that. Just try to get back in the routine of getting the miles in, try to train for a half marathon that I think is going on in Boulder in October, somewhere around then. But that was good. The volleyball game yesterday, we won. I know, big surprise. Guys, I've got the hiccups out of nowhere. Which, you know what? That's another random thing, now that I've mentioned it. We have technology that is unbelievable. AI coming out. We've got these phones, these cameras, just technology that we're going to Mars is insane. We've got an understanding of the human body and health, just incredible knowledge in all areas. But do we know why hiccups come out of nowhere sometimes? Because I'd like to know that. I'm talking here, okay? I'm doing a podcast that is well respected by about 2.5 people. Now I got to stop making fun of. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm joking there. I was about to go off on a tangent, but then I was like, I'm gonna forget what I'm talking about right now, which is already a tangent. When you do a tangent on a tangent, it's just that's how your brain breaks, and you just go full Alzheimer's. You're like, I'm forgetting everything that I'm talking about. But it would be interesting to know why hiccups come out of nowhere. Some people will get hiccups. My roommate got hiccups for a full week. He got COVID like a couple years ago, and I think it was COVID. It was either COVID or just he was sick with the flu or something. But he got hiccups for that entire week, just constant hiccups for a week. And there's some people out there, you can see stories where they get hiccups for like the last years. And here I am trying to talk truth to the people, and my body's like, let's give them a little curveball, you know. But they're gone. They left as quickly as they came, so that's good. That'd be a pretty obnoxious second half of the podcast. Just like, hey guys, I talked about some pretty interesting stuff, but you're gonna hear a hiccup every 7 seconds. Pretty interesting. Pretty tough to listen to, but pretty interesting content. But yeah, we played a volleyball game, which was yesterday. It's a Sunday league, and we were 1-1. We had lost one to a team, and we had won one via forfeit. So we had not won against an actual team yet. Yesterday we won our first game against a team. Now, let me tell you what, it was very close. It's a 6-person league. It's a co-ed league. You have to have at least 2 women on the field at all times in order to have 6 people total. So 4 guys, 2 gals. And if you only have like 1 gal, I think you can only have 3 or 4 guys. Maybe 3 guys on the field. I don't know. But the team we played against, they didn't have enough people. They had, I think, 5 guys. And so they played with 4 guys, and then the organizer of like the league was there, and she ended up just playing with them. So it was 4 guys on their team and 1 gal, the organizer. And we, I think, lost the first game, won the second game, and then won the third game, and it was close. And it's best 2 out of 3. So we ended up winning. But in my mind, I was like, they're using the organizer. Like she's not on their team. She works for the league. She works for the city of Denver or whatever, whoever puts on Volo, whoever puts on that league. And so she's not on their team, obviously. And I think she's just playing, obviously, so we can play a game, which is totally fine. But in my mind, I was like, before this game starts, we've won this, right? You guys didn't have enough people. I thought we were going to like lose and then be like, yeah, you lost. And I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. But I was kind of confused as to like, dude, we better not lose, because if they give us an L for a team that has essentially forfeited, then that would be embarrassing. But I was diving around. I was struggling a little bit with my direction on my sets. I feel pretty good. I've never played a bunch of volleyball, but I feel pretty competent with the basics. And I was struggling a little bit with the direction of my sets. I was missing a few that I haven't in the past. Not a huge deal, but just want to be a little cleaner there. But I was diving all around the courts, and there's certain spots in the sand that were like packed, whether it was less sand or there's like a tarp underneath the sand. So some spots the tarp comes up a little bit, and it's a really hard surface. So I tore the skin off my knee and started bleeding after diving once. I don't know. I do like the fact that the net is like 7 feet tall or something. It's not that tall, so I can get over, and I'm not spiking it super hard, but it makes me feel like I'm taller than I am. But we had a bunch of subs, so we had a bunch of time to like rest up. Which I get competitive. I like being on the court at all times, but we have a fair system where everybody's like subbing out in a rotation, so everybody gets equal playing time. But it was a good time. We won, and then we ended up playing for like an hour after maybe because the court was open, and we just played. I think we had like 10 people or 11 people on our team individually, and we just split our team up and played each other for like an hour, which was super fun. And I enjoyed it. And I dove all over the place and got really sore from it. And it made the run this morning a little bit miserable. But you know what? You got to win, okay? If you're not winning, then you're losing. And I like winning. I don't care that much about winning, but I do get competitive. Obviously I want to win, but it's like a very casual league. So I'm not that worried about it. Some people are more competitive than others. I try not to get in the mindset or energy of like getting too competitive to the point where people on the team are like upset or uncomfortable. It's just like, let's just have fun. Let's try our best. And what happens, happens. But it is funny. I do feel so. Played that basketball game a couple weeks ago. Played a couple games of volleyball. And the amount of people, it's not a ton, but there's certainly been a handful of people who have come up to me and expressed their confusion and surprise that I have been athletic, which is part of it is you're like, oh, that's cool to hear. Part of it, what's the word I'm looking for? Part of it is exciting to hear. You're like, oh, thank you. But also part of it is kind of like, and I'm saying this kind of hyperbolically, but it's almost kind of like condescending in a way that it's like so many people were like, I can't believe that you hit a volleyball over a net. Or when I played the basketball game, it's basically like, I can't believe that you made a layup. I can't believe that you dribbled the ball and like didn't kick it out of bounds on accident. It's kind of funny. I mean, I guess I feel like I've played a bunch of sports growing up. That was a big part of my life. I wasn't super great as a kid, but I also played a lot. And like, as I got older, got a little boogie. I don't want boogie on cam. Boogie on cam. Boogie cam. That's the name of the episode. But I feel like I got more coordinated as I got older. When I was younger, I was like very much like ADD and just my brain. It was hard for my brain to match the movements of my body sometimes. So especially in like basketball, or I guess basketball was kind of the main thing where you got to like be athletic and dribble and all that stuff, but you also have to like mentally be aware of the court and be like, where's the next move? Same with soccer, I guess. Very similar with soccer. So I feel like I got better as I got older. But also, growing up around sports and stuff, I always felt like I was pretty athletic. So it's funny to hear a bunch of people be like, wow, I didn't realize that you could like jog at a sustained rate and pass a ball. But I think my glasses, some people have commented, they're like, your glasses probably make people think that you're like a bookworm, kind of nerdy. And it is an interesting change in perception, because my entire life, I didn't have glasses until I was like 24, 25. So I lived without glasses and I looked in the mirror for 24 years. You're like, all right, this is what I look like. So for the last 10 to 12 years having glasses, obviously I've looked in the mirror and gotten used to that look. But I've lived most of my life without glasses. And I think it just like people perceive me a certain way. They see glasses and they see me go do jokes about having food allergies or whatever I'm talking about. And they go, wow, this guy, there's no way he can shoot a basketball. There's no way that this guy has ever seen a volleyball. He probably doesn't even know what that is. He probably thinks volleyball is, I don't know, something funny and different that has to do with volleyball. Couldn't think of. There we go. Every time I try to riff, it's pretty bad, guys. And it's even worse when I just acknowledge that it's pretty bad. Hopefully the camera's not shaking. I'm like fiddling around with this Tom Clancy book at the bottom of this coffee table I got. But that was fun. Volleyball. Got our W there. I'll move on here, the last section of the podcast, talk about my comedy, the comedy stuff I did this week. It's been a fun week of comedy. Busy again. A lot of hosting, per usual, but hosted some fun shows. I did New Talent Night on... Wow, excuse me. Frog in my throat. Did New Talent Night on Tuesday, which is the amateur night at Comedy Works, the big club here in Denver. Got to do 4 minutes, a whole 4, which is the most you can do until you are a past pro at the club. But did the show. It was a fun show. I did all new jokes that I hadn't done at the club before. I've said it before, I think, on the podcast, but the club is like a very prestigious spot. A lot of people put a lot of stock into it. I certainly respect the club and think it's a great club. Would love to be passed at the club, but also there's just so many people fighting to get in and so few spots. I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket as far as like, let me hang out here and put everything into this club, and in 5 years, maybe not. Maybe I won't get passed, which is a very likely thing too. It doesn't mean that you're not funny. It's just there's a ton of very funny people here. And so I've changed into the mindset of, let me just do new stuff every time, because I'm only getting up there once every 3 months or so. So it's like, let me just do the new 4 minutes that I've been working on and just see how that works with a hot crowd. So that was fun to do that. I did I went toward the very end of the amateur section. So like, I don't know, 20 comics were before me or something. But had a very good set. It was very fun. Crowd was good. Felt good about the material and everything. I had a couple friends on the show. It's just cool to hang out there. Usually people are there. Good friend Austin Black, he hosted that night. So fun to he got to host, and a couple friends were on the show. So it was a fun time. Did that Tuesday night. Wednesday night, I hosted a show at a distillery, Stranahan's Distillery, a rotating tap show. It's the second time I've done that show. They do it, I think, like once every 3 months or so. And the first time they did it, it's like a big distillery. They do a lot of tours and stuff. And the first time we did it inside in April. And it's a very cool inside, like it's where we stood as comedians. Right behind us was like the big Stranahan's Distillery banner or whatever, and then they have, right behind you as well, the distilling kind of tools or whatever you call the barrels and stuff that they have the whiskey in. And so it was a very cool backdrop. And then there was like 100 people inside, and it was a very fun show in April. It was a little bit tight, especially for having like 100 people. But it was still a fun show. Anytime you have 100 people and they're laughing, whether it's a ton or a little bit, it's a fun show. Good show. This time they had the show outside, so a different space. So everybody was kind of like, oh, how's it going to be? It was like 90 degrees. It was very hot. Outside, the road is pretty close to the outside section. You're like, how much is that going to affect? But I must say, better than the first show. It was very fun. The crowd was hot. They were into it. The outside area, it's like contained by a fence, and then it's like AstroTurf, and just a cool setup for it. As the sun went down, it got cooler, and the spotlights, were more prevalent. So for most of the show, it was like very much a professional looking show. And I mean, when I went up in the first comment, like it still was great. It just, the sun wasn't fully down yet, so the spotlight wasn't really providing any use. It wasn't really useful at that point. But very fun show. Excuse me. I have a frog in my throat. I don't know what's happening. But did a couple new jokes on that show. And it's funny because it was a very good crowd, but it was a very honest crowd. And they laughed at the new stuff. It was good. But there's also a new joke that's not as good or put together yet. And they didn't laugh that much at that. So I was like, all right, good. That's good input. That's input that I need to be able to go back to the drawing board. So that was Wednesday night. Thursday night did not do comedy. Friday night and Saturday night hosted Don't Tells, which were both fun as well. Did one at an art gallery and one at a gym, a CrossFit gym. And they were both fun. They were a little bit smaller crowds. Here in the summer, it's very hot. A lot of stuff's going on, so it's just a little harder. But there was probably 30 people at both shows. The art gallery, honestly, the space probably would only hold 40 or 50. The CrossFit gym, it's the biggest gym I've done a show in. It could have fit 1,000 people, but obviously that's not. Don't Tell is crowd size usually in between about 30 to 100 for your average show. They'll do some that are bigger, but it was still a fun show. The people were there to have fun. It was a great lineup of comics, so had a good time. I hosted a bunch of fun shows during the week. Got to do the club on Tuesday, and then this upcoming week, I am doing a fun show on Thursday. I'm doing a true crime storytelling show on Thursday at Dude IDK called Interrogation True Crime Stories, I believe it is. Looking forward to that. On Friday, I'm hosting a Don't Tell show, and then on Saturday, I'm hosting Emporium Brewing, which is a rotating tab show at Emporium Brewing. Very fun show, free show. If you're listening to this in Denver area, want to check out a show, come to that. It's a good lineup. It'll be a fun time. But yeah, working on a lot of new jokes. I'm going to meet up with a comic later today. Good buddy Sam Ellison. We're going to meet up and run some bits. So hopefully we've talked about it before, and I've talked about it with a bunch of other people. I write a lot by myself, mostly, almost exclusively, but it would be nice to get some writing partners and maybe a writing group to just bounce stuff off, to get input from other people, but also to keep the momentum and keep the juices flowing, kind of hold yourself accountable to keep writing some new stuff. So looking forward to doing that. I wrote a little bit this morning. I've got some bits that I'm trying to work through that I think will be good to chat back and forth, to be like, there's something here, but it's not great. Any suggestions? So looking forward to that. But yeah, I'll end the podcast there. I appreciate you guys listening. As always, leave a comment, like I said, about Boy Meets World, whatever I talked about if you watched that or your favorite shows. And leave a comment if you want to hear anything else, any other recommendations, suggestions. Leave a comment. Even if you don't have a comment to leave, just leave 3 fire emojis or leave 3 thumbs down emojis. Let's get the algorithm cooking, okay? Let's get some views on this puppy. With that said, thank you guys again for listening. I'm going to end the pod there. I'll see you guys again next week.